Hello, this is Dr. Craig Markson, and in this video I'm going to show you how to quickly dissect a peer-reviewed journal article to discuss it either in a research paper or on Blackboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the article that we saved from a prior video called Finding Peer-Reviewed Journal Articles. So I'm going to bring that up, and I have notes on it. I'm going to just discuss each point along the way has been highlighted, and I have like sticky notes in this particular PDF that will be used to discuss the article and how to, again, quickly dissect it. All right, so once again, this was the article that we brought up from one of the prior videos on finding a peer-reviewed journal article. Okay, and as I mentioned in that particular video, the first part of the article is the abstract, which briefly summarizes the overall article. Oftentimes the abstract doesn't go into a lot of depth, so you have to dig a little bit deeper, but when you're searching for articles, the abstract will at least tell you, is this an article that I might be interested in for my particular research or for the discussion at hand. Okay? Now as you scroll down, the next part of the article are the keywords, which are always found immediately underneath the abstract, and the keywords are useful in that they will show you how to search for similar articles. So if you particularly like this article and wanted to find something similar, I would use the keywords when you're doing your searches on the EBSCO host database that was discussed in the prior video. Okay. Now the introduction. Okay. Now the first part of the introduction of most peer-reviewed journal articles will provide a brief context. There'll be a mini lit review or conceptual rationale which justifies the importance of the current study. So in the parts here prior to the next highlight, those things will be covered. So there'll be a brief context, there'll be a few citations as you can see over here, and it'll justify why this particular study, the current study, is important. And then usually at some point there's a transition, and as you can see in the highlight here, you'll see the first purpose of this study, and or a statement of the problem. And in this particular instance, one of the purposes of this study is investigating learning styles or preferences in order to effectively incorporate emerging web technologies into courses. Next, you'll find another purpose or another statement of the problem, and that is the other thing that this article is concerned about is students' learning style and how it influences their technology preferences, and professors using appropriate technology based on student need, and whether or not this will positively influence academic achievement. Okay, so as you can see, it literally says it in this paper. We present a research framework and hypothesize that students' learning styles influence their preferences for using technology, and that the use of appropriate technology positively influence their academic performance. Okay? So as you go down a little bit more, the next section in most peer-reviewed journal articles will be a lit review, and this will be a review of existing research literature on the topic relevant to the current study. This will help you find additional articles, but again, I wouldn't spend much time on this particular section because it's just another lit review, but it can help you find other articles. So as you move along here, now this particular article is they're doing survey research, and here the authors state their research hypotheses. The research hypotheses are essentially what are the authors expecting to find from the results of their study, and here you see Hypothesis 1 is the preference or use of instructional technology is influenced by the student's learning style. And hypothesis number 2 is that academic performance is positively influenced by the use of the appropriate instructional technology. And obviously this is based on the student's learning styles. Okay? Usually this is followed by the research methodology or the design of the study. And this is where, again, the experimental design is discussed. I would typically skip these sections unless you're at a different stage in your academic career, unless you're planning on writing your own study and using original empirical data. So let's say you were going for your doctorate and you're at maybe the dissertation stage, or if you were planning on publishing your own original research using empirical data, I would kind of go past this section here. I think you're going to get hung up. Okay, sometimes peer-reviewed journal articles will discuss the subjects of the study, and here it talks about the participants, and there were 204 students included in the study, and that's quite a significant sample size. So if you were writing a lit review, or you're writing your own research paper, you might want to include this when discussing this particular study and how it relates to your review of the research literature. Okay, the measurement section here in the study. This particular section discusses the survey instrument that was used and how the authors collected their data. And again, I recommend skipping this section unless you're looking for ideas for publishing your own empirical research paper. Okay. Next, you see the results section. Okay. Now, again, the results section, you can typically skip this section because the results section prior to the discussion section usually provides little context or critical discussion of the findings. So they'll literally just list the results without any critical discussion or context. So again, I would tend to skip this section as well. And as we keep scrolling down here, this is the results. Okay, the discussion. This is a very important part of the peer-reviewed journal article because here's where you will find the results of the study better explained. And here I highlighted two instances here where I found that the authors really honed in on what they found, and that was that students preferred to use both synchronous and asynchronous communication tools. That was one thing. And that today's students are ready to experience new technologies. That was another finding. Here are some more interesting findings in the discussion section. The authors characterized the learners under two categories. One was the intuitive learner, which was defined by learners who prefer discovering new possibilities. And this type of learner in this study was highlighted by their preferences for blogs over traditional technologies like email or Blackboard. And then there was the sequential learner, which tended to gain understanding in linear steps and follow logical stepwise paths. Okay, so and then another finding was that there were no significant differences among the two different learning styles in terms of high, average, or low achieving. So that was pretty interesting as well. And then finally, most peer-reviewed journal articles will have a conclusion, and the conclusion typically summarizes the discussion section, but I would also look for recommendations for future studies or the implications of this study. And as I mentioned, I think this video will help you pretty quickly analyze an article at a fast pace to be able to very quickly get to the heart of it for you to discuss, whether it would be on a Blackboard discussion or in a research paper. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you.